20 Hollywood black brothers you had no idea were related. What if the most powerful forces shaping Hollywood weren't solo superstars, but brothers? Not one legend, two, sometimes three, hidden in plain sight across your favorite shows, your biggest box office hits, and your most iconic comedy specials. 20 pairs of black brothers have quietly built, broken, and redefined the entertainment industry, and most people couldn't name 5 of them. Before this video ends, you'll see Hollywood completely differently. If that sounds like a challenge, it is. Smash that subscribe button right now, turn on notifications, and follow Black Celebrity Secrets, because we expose what the industry hopes you never connect. Tyler James Williams and Tyrell Jackson Williams. Most people know Tyler James Williams as the kid who made Chris Rock's childhood funny. But here's what the algorithm won't show you. Behind one of television's most beloved child stars was an entire family quietly building a Hollywood dynasty, one network at a time. Tyler was born on October 9, 1992, in Westchester County, New York. By the time he was 12 years old, he was already carrying the weight of a hit show on his shoulders. Everybody Hates Chris debuted in 2005 on UPN and later the CW, pulling in millions of viewers weekly and running for 4 successful seasons until 2009. His deadpan delivery, sharp timing, and natural charisma made him the youngest actor to win an NAACP Image Award at the time. That's not a footnote. That's history. But while Tyler was dominating network television, his younger brother Tyrell Jackson Williams, born March 16, 1997, was sharpening his craft quietly and methodically. Tyrell landed the role of Leo Dooley in Disney XD's Lab Rats, a sci-fi comedy that ran from 2012 to 2016 and consistently attracted over 3 million viewers per episode at its peak. His comic instincts were undeniable, and his chemistry with the ensemble cast gave the show its emotional anchor. What makes this brotherhood genuinely rare isn't just the talent, it's the timing. 2 brothers, 2 different networks, 2 simultaneous hit shows. According to Nielsen data, fewer than 3% of black actors under 30 have managed to dominate both network TV and cable simultaneously. The Williams brothers didn't just beat those odds, they redefined them. Then came 2021. Tyler returned to television with Abbott Elementary, the ABC mockumentary comedy created by Quinta Brunson. The show became a cultural phenomenon, earning record-breaking ratings and reminding a generation why great writing paired with great performance is unstoppable. In 2023, Tyler took home the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor in a Television Series, a moment that felt less like an arrival and more like a long overdue confirmation. Meanwhile, Tyrell continued building his resume with Brockmire on IFC, earning critical praise for a dramatically different kind of role, proving that neither brother was content to be defined by their Disney or network origins. And there's a third brother, Tylen Jacob Williams, born December 8, 2001, who starred in Nickelodeon's Instant Mom from 2013 to 2015. 3 brothers, 3 working actors, 3 different major networks, 1 family. That is not luck. That is legacy. Chris Rock and Tony Rock. Before the slap heard around the world, before the Netflix specials and the stadium tours, there was a kid from Brooklyn studying the streets, the timing, and the pain, and turning all of it into punchlines sharp enough to cut glass. That kid was Chris Rock. But the story doesn't start and end with him. Christopher Julius Rock III was born on February 7, 1965, in Andrews, South Carolina, and raised in Brooklyn, New York. He dropped out of high school, earned his GED, and hustled his way onto the stand-up circuit before catching the attention of Eddie Murphy, the man who would become his earliest and most influential mentor. By 1990, he had joined the cast of Saturday Night Live, but it was his 1996 HBO special, Bring the Pain, that truly rewrote the rulebook of American comedy. That special was watched by nearly 3 million households on its premiere weekend and is still studied in film and comedy schools today. His follow-up, Bigger and Blacker, in 1999, only widened the gap between him and his contemporaries. Chris went on to create, write, and star in Everybody Hates Chris, a semi-autobiographical sitcom that ran from 2005 to 2009 and earned multiple Emmy nominations. He voiced a character in the Madagascar franchise, hosted the Academy Awards twice, and became one of the highest-paid touring comedians in the world. His 2023 Netflix special, Selective Outrage, broke records as the platform's first-ever live-streamed comedy event. But what about Tony Rock? Born Antonio Rock on June 30th, 1974, Tony is the younger of the two and built his career in the spaces Chris didn't occupy: the gritty comedy clubs, the late-night sets, the television roles that required range without a safety net. He appeared in the sitcom All of Us, which ran from 2003 to 2007, and later played Uncle Ryan in Everybody Hates Chris, a casting choice that blurred the line between fiction and family in the most delicious way possible. Tony's stand-up is raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. Where Chris crafts social commentary with surgical precision, Tony brings street-level heat and unvarnished honesty. He has headlined tours across the United States and built a fan base that respects him not as Chris Rock's brother, but as a heavyweight in his own right. In 2022, when Will Smith walked onto the Oscars stage and struck Chris in front of a global audience of over 15 million viewers, Tony didn't retreat into silence. He went on stage and addressed it directly, telling audiences with total clarity, "You don't touch my family." That moment revealed something the highlight reels often miss. The Rock brothers aren't just comedians, they are a unit, a bloodline built on resilience, rhythm, and the refusal to be silenced. Two brothers, one stage, zero apologies. John David Washington and Malcolm Washington. What does it feel like to grow up in the shadow of one of the greatest actors who ever lived? For John David and Malcolm Washington, the answer wasn't intimidation. It was fuel. Denzel Washington needs no introduction. 2 Academy Awards, a career spanning 5 decades, a body of work that includes Training Day, Glory, Malcolm X, and Fences. He is, by almost any measure, among the greatest performers in the history of American cinema. So when his sons chose to enter the entertainment world, the scrutiny was immediate and unrelenting. John David Washington was born on July 28, 1984. Before Hollywood, there was football. He played running back at Morehouse College, then signed with the St. Louis Rams in 2006. Injuries derailed his NFL ambitions, but rather than walk away from competition, he redirected it. His acting debut came quietly, but his role as Ricky Jarrett in HBO's Ballers, a show that ran from 2015 to 2019, gave him room to develop his instincts and find his own voice. Then came 2018, and BlacKkKlansman. Directed by Spike Lee, the film earned 6 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, and 1 Best Adapted Screenplay. John David's performance as Ron Stallworth, the first black detective in the Colorado Springs Police Department, was magnetic, layered, and completely his own. Christopher Nolan noticed. In 2020, he handed John David the lead in Tenet, a $200 million sci-fi thriller that grossed over $363 million worldwide, despite a global pandemic threatening every box office projection imaginable. At that, Malcolm Washington operates differently. A graduate of the prestigious AFI Conservatory, Malcolm has spent years developing his craft behind the camera. His short films, including Betty Got Shot in 2017, earned critical recognition at the Los Angeles Film Festival for their raw, grounded storytelling. In 2024, he stepped into feature filmmaking with The Piano Lesson, an adaptation of August Wilson's Pulitzer Prize-winning play, starring his own father, Denzel, alongside his brother John David. The film received widespread critical acclaim and marked a full-circle moment for the Washington family. 3 generations of storytelling, 1 legendary last name, and 2 sons who proved they were never just riding the coattails of greatness. They were adding new chapters to it. Kyle Massey and Christopher Massey. In the early 2000s, if you grew up watching either Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, there's a strong chance a Massey brother was on your screen. What most fans never realized is that both channels were being held down simultaneously by 2 brothers from Atlanta, Georgia. Christopher Michael Massey was born on January 26, 1990. He landed the role of Michael Barrett in Nickelodeon's Zoe 101, a teen sitcom starring Jamie Lynn Spears that debuted in January 2005 and immediately became one of the network's most-watched series, drawing more viewers aged 9 to 14 than any Nickelodeon premiere in the preceding 8 years. Christopher's portrayal of the fast-talking, loyal, and comedically gifted Michael Barrett became a fan favorite, and he earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Children's Programming, a rare honor for a young black actor in kids' television at the time. Kyle Orlando Massey was born on August 28, 1991, just over a year after his older brother. He was cast as Corey Baxter in Disney Channel's That's So Raven, and when the character became popular enough to warrant a spin-off, Kyle led Corey in the house from 2007 to 2008. His natural comedic timing, expressive delivery, and undeniable charm made him one of Disney Channel's most beloved young stars of the decade. That's So Raven remains the highest-rated Disney Channel comedy series of the 2000s, with reruns still airing globally today. Together, the Massey brothers made Emmy history as the first African-American siblings to receive nominations in the same category simultaneously, a milestone that deserved far more attention than it received. Both brothers also performed together musically under the name The Massey Boys, releasing original material and building a fan base that crossed the Disney-Nickelodeon divide. Their careers, however, didn't follow a linear upward path. In 2015, Christopher made headlines following a reported altercation. Kyle faced his own serious legal challenges, including a 2019 case involving allegations of sending inappropriate content to a minor, a situation that significantly impacted his public standing and career trajectory. Neither story has a clean resolution, and that tension is part of what makes this chapter of Hollywood history complicated. What remains undeniable is the impact they made at their peak. 2 brothers, 2 rival networks, 1 shared legacy that defined a generation of black child stardom. Donald Faison and Olamide Faison. For 9 seasons, Donald Faison made America laugh with a dance move, a best friend, and a surgical gown. But behind the scenes of one of NBC's most beloved comedies was a family story most viewers never knew existed. Donald Adeosun Faison was born on June 22, 1974, in New York City. He broke into acting in the early 1990s, appearing in Clueless in 1995 alongside Alicia Silverstone in a role that gave him early visibility and comedic credibility. But it was Scrubs, the ABC and later NBC medical comedy that ran from 2001 to 2010, that turned him into a household name. As Dr. Christopher Turk, Donald delivered physical comedy, heartfelt dramatic moments, and one of television's most iconic male friendships alongside Zach Braff's J.D. At its peak in 2005, Scrubs drew nearly 19 million viewers, making it one of NBC's crown jewels in primetime comedy. Donald earned multiple NAACP Image Award nominations throughout the series' run. After Scrubs, Donald continued working steadily, appearing in The X's, voicing characters in animated projects, and maintaining a visible presence in both television and pop culture. He is also widely recognized today as a prominent cast member of the Scrubs Rewatch podcast, which has amassed millions of listeners. His younger brother, Olamide Faison, The name the video consistently misspelled in nearly half a dozen different ways built a quieter but meaningful career within New York's theater and arts community. Olamide appeared in television productions including New York Undercover and pursued music and performance in spaces closer to the independent arts world. In 2009, the brothers shared a real-life stage performance that caught fans completely off guard. A glimpse behind the curtain revealing that Donald's natural comedic energy was genuinely a family trait, not a manufactured persona. Ebony magazine once ran a feature specifically identifying Olamide as the Faison brother audiences should know, pointing to his deep roots in the Harlem arts scene and his sustained presence in underground theater long after mainstream attention had moved elsewhere. Together, the Faison brothers represent two distinct paths through the same creative inheritance, one under the brightest studio lights, the other in the more intimate glow of live performance and independent artistry. Not every Hollywood story needs a sequel to be worth telling. Cuba Gooding Jr. and Omar Gooding. The year was 1996. Cuba Gooding Jr. stood on the Academy Awards stage, tuxedo sharp, emotion raw, and delivered an acceptance speech so exuberant it became a cultural moment in its own right. "Show me the money" had already entered the American lexicon. Now the Oscar was in his hands. But while Cuba was holding that golden statue, his younger brother Omar was building something entirely different, and arguably more enduring in its own quiet way. Cuba Gooding Jr. was born on January 2, 1968, in the Bronx, New York. His film debut came with Boys in the Hood in 1991, a John Singleton masterpiece made for $6.5 million that grossed $57 million at the box office and received 2 Academy Award nominations. Cuba's performance helped launch him into a trajectory very few young black actors were offered in Hollywood at the time. Jerry Maguire in 1996 sealed his place in history. His portrayal of Rod Tidwell, the mercurial, passionate, and deeply human wide receiver, earned him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. The film grossed over $273 million worldwide. What followed was a career marked by highs, including A Few Good Men, As Good as It Gets, and What Dreams May Come, and significant lows that included a string of direct-to-video projects in the 2000s. In 2022, Cuba faced serious legal proceedings related to allegations of sexual misconduct, a chapter that has significantly complicated his public legacy. Omar Gooding, born on October 19, 1976, took a completely different road. From 1992 to 1997, he starred in Nickelodeon's Wild and Crazy Kids, one of the network's most successful and long-running game shows. He then built a steady television career through Smart Guy, Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, and Baby Boy, Tyler Perry's gritty drama series. Across 3 decades, Omar appeared in more individual television episodes than Cuba, a statistic that almost no one in Hollywood circles ever cites. Cuba chased the Oscar. Omar chose consistency. Both paths reveal something true about how fame splinters inside a single family. Spike Lee and Cinque Lee. Some filmmakers make movies. Spike Lee wages campaigns. And behind nearly every campaign, whether anyone noticed or not, stood his brother. Shelton Jackson Lee, known universally as Spike Lee, was born on March 20th, 1957, in Brooklyn, New York. He studied film at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts and graduated in 1982 with a student film that won a Student Academy Award. His professional debut, She's Gotta Have It, in 1986, was made for approximately $175,000 and grossed over $7 million, an almost incomprehensible return that announced the arrival of a filmmaker who would not be ignored. Do the Right Thing in 1989 cost $6.5 million to make and earned $37 million worldwide. More importantly, it ignited a national conversation about race, police brutality, and community that felt devastatingly relevant then and remains so today. The The film received 2 Academy Award nominations, and its absence from the Best Picture nominees became one of the most discussed oversights in Oscar history. Malcolm X in 1992, starring Denzel Washington, was a 3-hour biographical epic that demonstrated Spike's capacity for cinematic ambition at the highest scale. He finally took home his competitive Oscar in 2019 for Best Adapted Screenplay for BlacKkKlansman. Sin-Kwei Lee, born in 1966, is the less visible but genuinely significant other half of this creative equation. He acted in School Days in 1988 and Old Boy in 2013, both directed by his brother. He co-wrote Crooklyn in 1994, one of Spike's most personal and autobiographical films. Perhaps most critically, Sin-Kwei served as a camera operator on She's Gotta Have It, meaning he was literally behind the lens of the film that launched the independent black cinema movement of the 1980s. Spike conducted, Sin-Kwei helped build the orchestra, and the music they made together changed American film permanently. Fayard Nicholas and Harold Nicholas. Long before Michael Jackson moonwalked, long before hip-hop choreography redefined what a body could do on screen. There were 2 brothers from Philadelphia who made Fred Astaire stop and declare he had just witnessed the greatest dance sequence ever filmed. Their names were Fayard and Harold Nicholas, and they were, by any honest measure, supernatural. Fayard Antonio Nicholas was born on October 20th, 1914, in Mobile, Alabama. Harold Lloyd Nicholas was born on March 17th, 1921, in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. The family settled in Philadelphia, where their parents played in a house band at the Standard Theater. Fayard taught himself to dance by watching vaudeville performers rehearse, and then, with patience and brilliance, taught everything he knew to his younger brother Harold. By the time Harold was 10 years old, the two were performing together at a level that left professional audiences breathless. By the 1930s, the Nicholas brothers were headlining at Harlem's Cotton Club alongside Duke Ellington and Cab Calloway. They appeared in over 50 films throughout their careers, including Stormy Weather in 1943, where their legendary staircase routine, a sequence of splits, leaps, and synchronized acrobatics performed without a single cut, remains one of the most replicated and studied dance sequences in cinema history. Fred Astaire's assessment was unambiguous and generous. It was the greatest movie musical number he had ever seen. Their style fused classical ballet technique with explosive acrobatic athleticism and the improvisational spirit of jazz, a combination so singular it was later termed flash dancing, and it influenced every major choreographer who came after them. Despite their extraordinary talent and fame, systemic racism in Hollywood repeatedly limited them to specialty musical numbers rather than leading roles, a painful reality that their artistry consistently transcended. In 1991, they received the Kennedy Center Honors, a recognition that was long overdue and deeply deserved. When the world hadn't yet invented the language to describe what they did it anyway. Gregory Hines and Maurice Hines. Harlem in the 1940s was alive with sound. Jazz spilled out of every doorway, rhythm lived in the sidewalks, and in one particular household, 2 brothers were learning that a wooden stage and a good pair of shoes were all you needed to tell the truth. Maurice Hines Sr. was born on December 13, 1943, in New York City. Gregory Hines was born on February 14, 1946, also in New York. Their father, Maurice Sr., was a drummer, and from the earliest age, both boys were immersed in a world where music and movement were inseparable. By the time Gregory was 5 years old, he was already performing. Maurice, 3 years older, assumed the role of the duo's anchor, the one who choreographed, structured, and shaped the act, while Gregory improvised within it. Together they performed as the Hines brothers, and later as Hines, Hines, and Dad, touring the country alongside their drummer father. Their tap style was revolutionary. They stripped away the showbiz gloss and connected the art form back to its roots in jazz rhythm and improvisation. creating something that felt simultaneously ancient and completely new. Gregory's career eventually expanded into film and Broadway. He starred opposite Mikhail Baryshnikov in White Nights in 1985, earning widespread critical praise for holding his own against one of the greatest classical dancers alive. In 1992, he won the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Musical for Jelly's Last Jam, a production that celebrated the life of jazz pioneer Jelly Roll Morton and placed tap dancing at the center of a serious, dramatic narrative. Maurice, meanwhile, directed, choreographed, and mentored, guiding Broadway productions and shaping the careers of performers including Savion Glover, who would go on to become the most celebrated tap dancer of his generation. By the 1980s, their shows regularly sold out Broadway theaters, keeping tap alive during an era when critics had already written the art form's obituary. Gregory passed away on August 9, 2003 from liver cancer. He was 57 years old. Maurice continued performing, honoring their shared rhythm, ensuring the Hines name never fell silent. Kofi Siriboe, Kwame Boateng, and Kwesi Boateng. Hollywood loves to celebrate individual breakthroughs. It rarely stops to notice when an entire family is quietly reshaping multiple corners of the industry at the same time. The Siriboe-Boateng brothers are exactly that story, and it's one that deserves far more visibility than it has received. Kofi Siriboe was born on March 2, 1994 in Los Angeles, California, to Ghanaian parents. His breakthrough came with the 2015 coming-of-age film Dope, directed by Rick Famuyiwa, where he played Jib with an effortless cool that caught immediate industry attention. But it was his role as Ralph Angel Bordelon in Ava DuVernay's Queen Sugar, the OWN drama series that premiered in 2016, that established him as a genuine dramatic force. The show averaged over 2 million viewers per episode and was praised universally for its nuanced portrayal of Black Southern family life. Kofi's performance, in particular, drew comparisons to a young Denzel Washington in terms of screen presence and emotional depth. His brother Kwame Boateng carved his path through animation. He voiced Darwin Watterson in The Amazing World of Gumball, the Cartoon Network series that became a global phenomenon, broadcast in 126 countries and winning multiple BAFTA awards. For millions of children worldwide, Kwame's voice was a daily presence without anyone knowing his name. Their eldest brother, Kwesi Boateng, brought biographical drama into the mix, appearing in Notorious in 2009 as a figure in Puff Daddy's Orbit, and making appearances across series including Everybody Hates Chris. Three brothers, three completely different entertainment niches: prestige drama, global animation, biographical film, all working simultaneously. According to SAG-AFTRA union figures, fewer than 1% of guild members come from the same nuclear family. The Siriboe-Boateng trio didn't just beat that statistic. They made it look easy. Lorenz Tate and Lamar Tate. In 1993, a 19-year-old from Chicago walked onto the set of Menace to Society and delivered a performance so disturbingly authentic that audiences weren't entirely sure whether they were watching acting or reality. That teenager was Lorenz Tate, and 3 decades later he's still working, which in Hollywood is the most radical thing an actor can do. Lorenz Tate was born on September 8, 1975 in Chicago, Illinois. His role as O-Dog in Menace to Society was visceral, terrifying, and completely unlike anything Black cinema had offered audiences up to that point. He followed it with Dead Presidents in 1995, Love Jones in 1997, a film made for $10 million that grossed $12 million and became one of the most beloved romantic dramas in Black cinema history, and Why Do Fools Fall in Love in 1998. His range across those 3 films alone, from cold-blooded to romantic to comedic, demonstrated a versatility that very few actors of any background possess. By 2017, Lorenz had joined the cast of Power on Stars as Latay Greer, introducing him to an entirely new generation of viewers. The show became one of the most watched series in cable television history, with its finale in 2020 drawing over 8 million viewers. His brother Lamar Tate has maintained a quieter but remarkably broad career. He appeared in the parody film Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood in 1996, has guest starred in All American, and contributed voice work to Grand Theft Auto 5 in 2013. A game that has sold over 200 million copies worldwide, making Lamar's voice one of the most heard in interactive entertainment history, whether or not his name was attached to it. Together with their brother Laren Tate, they operate Tate Men Entertainment, a production company built on the principle that Black creative ownership is not optional. It's the only sustainable model. Forrest Whitaker, Ken Whitaker, and Damon Whitaker. There is a version of this story where Forrest Whitaker's brothers are a footnote. This is not that version. Forrest Stephen Whitaker was born on July 15, 1961, in Longview, Texas, and raised in South Central Los Angeles. Before acting, he studied opera as a lyric tenor at USC on a music scholarship, a fact that surprises almost everyone who knows him only as a film actor, but explains everything about the technical precision and emotional control he brings to every role. His early film appearances in Fast Times at Ridgemont High and The Color of Money established him as a serious presence. Bird, in 1988, Clint Eastwood's biographical film about jazz musician Charlie Parker, earned Forrest the Best Actor prize at the Cannes Film Festival. But it was The Last King of Scotland in 2006 that placed him permanently among the all-time greats. His portrayal of Ugandan dictator Idi Amin was so complete, so terrifying, and so deeply human that it earned him 23 major awards, including the Academy Award, the Golden Globe, the BAFTA, and the Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Actor. He later appeared in Lee Daniels' The Butler in 2013, Black Panther in 2018 as Zuri, and Godfather of Harlem, the Epix drama series he has led since 2019. Ken Whitaker, Forrest's younger brother, appeared alongside him in Bulworth in 1998, and has maintained a presence in independent cinema. The physical resemblance between Ken and Forrest is striking enough that online communities have spent years debating film stills attempting to tell them apart. Damon Whitaker, the youngest of the three, appeared in Jim Jarmusch's Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai, in 1999, a cult classic that still commands devoted international audiences. One family, one extraordinary genetic inheritance, three different ways of carrying it: Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy. Here is a sentence that still doesn't fully land no matter how many times you read it. Eddie Murphy grossed over $6 billion at the global box office. Not his studio, not his franchise, him. One man from Brooklyn whose instincts were so precise, so culturally attuned, and so electrifyingly funny that audiences worldwide handed him that number across 4 decades of work. Edward Regan Murphy was born on April 3, 1961, in Brooklyn, New York. He joined Saturday Night Live at 19 years old in 1980, and almost immediately became the show's lifeline during one of its most turbulent creative periods. By 1984, he had already starred in 48 Hours and Trading Places. Beverly Hills Cop in 1984 grossed $316 million worldwide on a $14 million budget and became the highest-grossing comedy in history at that point. Coming to America in 1988 grossed $288 million worldwide. The Nutty Professor in 1996, Dr. Dolittle in 1998, and the Shrek franchise collectively pushed his filmography into the billions. In 2007, he won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor for Dreamgirls. Charles Quentin Murphy was born on July 12, 1959, making him Eddie's older brother by nearly 2 years. Charlie spent years working in the military and navigating the entertainment industry in his brother's massive shadow before finding his own singular voice on Chappelle's Show from 2003 to 2006. His Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories segments, particularly the episodes about Rick James and Prince, became instant cultural artifacts. His delivery was deadpan, brutally honest, and completely unrepeatable. Millions still quote his lines word for word. Charlie packed theaters with his stand-up tours until his death from leukemia on April 12, 2017. He was 57 years old. Eddie's tribute to him was simple and devastating in its understatement. "My brother was a very funny man." Two brothers, one spotlight big enough for both, and a legacy that belongs to an entire era. Ryan Coogler and Keenan Coogler. In 2013, a 26-year-old filmmaker from Oakland submitted his debut feature to the Sundance Film Festival. It was based on a true story. It was shot for under $900,000, and it won both the Grand Jury Prize and the Audience Award, making Ryan Coogler the first filmmaker in Sundance history to win both top prizes simultaneously with a debut feature. That film was Fruitvale Station, based on the final hours of Oscar Grant III, a 22-year-old black man shot and killed by BART police on New Year's Day 2009. Ryan knew that story. He grew up in the same Oakland that produced it, and that proximity gave the film a weight and an urgency that no amount of technical skill alone could have manufactured. Ryan Coogler was born on May 23, 1986, in Oakland, California. After Fruitvale Station, he directed Creed in 2015, a Rocky franchise revival starring Michael B. Jordan that grossed $173 million worldwide and received an Academy Award nomination for Sylvester Stallone. Then came Black Panther in 2018. Made for approximately $200 million, the film grossed $1.347 billion worldwide, became the first superhero film nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and won 3 Oscars, including Best Original Score, Best Costume Design, and Best Production Design. Ryan was 31 years old when it was released. He became the youngest director in Marvel Studios history. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever in 2022 grossed an additional $859 million worldwide, cementing Ryan's position as one of the most commercially and critically trusted filmmakers working today. Keenan Coogler, Ryan's younger brother, contributed to Creed III in 2023 as a co-writer, a film directed by Michael B. Jordan that grossed $275 million worldwide and set the record for the highest-grossing opening weekend in sports film history. Two brothers from Oakland, combined box office approaching $3 billion. Stories rooted entirely in the community that raised them. Donald Glover and Stephen Glover. There is a version of Atlanta that doesn't exist, the version that gets made without Stephen Glover in the writer's room. It would have been a different show, a lesser show, a show that didn't win the Golden Globe for Best Television Series, Musical, or Comedy in 2017, didn't earn Donald Glover the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series, making him the first black man to win that award in over 30 years, and didn't produce an episode like Teddy Perkins, which may be the single most audacious and genuinely unsettling half-hour of television produced in the 2000s. Donald McKinley Glover was born on September 25, 1983, in Edwards Air Force Base, California, and raised in Stone Mountain, Georgia. He began his entertainment career as a writer for 30 Rock at just 23 years old, hired by Tina Fey after submitting his portfolio while still a student at NYU. He went on to star in Community, release music as Childish Gambino, and build a multimedia creative identity that spans comedy, drama, rap, and live performance simultaneously. Childish Gambino's This Is America, released in 2018, became a cultural flashpoint. A music video that accumulated over 600 million views on YouTube and won 4 Grammy Awards, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year. Donald became the first artist to win both awards with the same song in the same year simultaneously. Stephen Glover, his younger brother, was the lead writer and co-executive producer on Atlanta. the show Donald created, starred in, and executive produced. Steven's ability to write characters who feel fully alive without explanation, to drop audiences into surreal situations without apology, and to maintain tonal consistency across radically different episodes is the backbone of what makes Atlanta work. In 2018, the show received 16 Emmy nominations, the most for any comedy series created by African Americans in television history at that time. Donald performed, Steven wrote. Together they built the blueprint. Jussie Smollett and Jake Smollett. The Smollett family arrived in Hollywood as a unit. In 1994, the ABC sitcom On Our Own featured 6 Smollett siblings: Jussie, Jake, Journey, Jazz, JoJo, and Jaquise, playing a version of their own family, making them one of the only real sibling groups ever cast together in a network sitcom. The show ran for 1 season, but it planted a seed. Jake Smollett built his post-On Our Own career in food and lifestyle media. He hosted Smollett Eats on the Food Network, appeared regularly on The Rachel Ray Show, and became a recognized presence in culinary television, a lane he developed with consistency, warmth, and genuine skill. His path was wholesome, growing, and largely uncomplicated. Jussie Smollett was born on June 21, 1982, in Santa Rosa, California. In 2015, he landed the role of Jamal Lyon on Fox's Empire, a music industry drama created by Lee Daniels and Danny Strong that premiered to 9.9 million viewers and became the highest-rated drama debut in 3 years. Jamal's arc as a gay black musician navigating a complicated family and a predatory industry made him one of the most compelling characters on network television. Jussie's music, released in connection with the show, charted on Billboard. Then came January 2019. Jussie reported being the victim of a hate crime attack in Chicago, a story that dominated global headlines for weeks. Prosecutors later concluded that the attack had been staged. He was charged with disorderly conduct, convicted in December 2021, and sentenced to 150 days in jail. He has continued to maintain his innocence through every stage of the legal process. The contrast between the two brothers could not be more stark. One quietly building a sustainable career in kitchens and studios, the other at the center of one of the most polarizing public controversies in modern entertainment history. Fame arrived for both. It stayed very differently. Keith Lucas and Kenny Lucas. Most comedians spend their careers chasing credibility. The Lucas brothers arrived with too much of it and had to convince Hollywood they were actually funny. Keith Lucas and Kenny Lucas are identical twins born on September 25, 1983, in Newark, New Jersey. Before stand-up, there were law school applications. Both brothers enrolled in law school, Kenny at Duke University School of Law, Keith at the University of Pennsylvania, before making the decision to abandon legal careers and pursue comedy full-time. That is not a small choice. That is an act of faith in your own voice so complete it borders on the irrational. It paid off. Their deadpan, philosophical, almost hypnotically monotone delivery became their signature, a style so unusual and so precisely executed that it created its own category of American comedy. Their animated series, Lucas Brothers Moving Company, aired on Fox and Adult Swim, making them one of a very small number of black creators, let alone black twin creators, to headline their own cartoon on a major network. Their breakout mainstream moment came with 22 Jump Street in 2014. The Phil Lord and Christopher Miller comedy grossed $331 million globally on a $50 million budget, and the Lucas brothers' scene-stealing turns as the twin drug dealers Zook and Rooster earned them a cult following that persists today. But here is where the story shifts from impressive to historic. The Lucas brothers co-wrote the story for Judas and the Black Messiah in 2021, the biographical drama directed by Shaka King about Fred Hampton, the 21-year-old Black Panther Party chairman assassinated by the FBI in 1969. The film received 6 Academy Award nominations and won 2 Oscars, Best Original Song, and Best Supporting Actor for Daniel Kaluuya. The screenplay, rooted in real FBI surveillance documents and years of research, placed the Lucas brothers in a category almost no comedian in history has ever occupied. From law school dropouts to Oscar winners, Newark never looked so inevitable. Reginald Hudlin and Warrington Hudlin. Before Ryan Coogler. Before Ava DuVernay. Before the conversation about black representation in Hollywood became the conversation. There were two brothers from Centerville, Illinois, who decided the industry wasn't moving fast enough and built their own lane. Warrington Hudlin was born in 1952. Reginald Hudlin was born in 1961. Warrington co-founded the Black Filmmaker Foundation in 1978, an organization dedicated to supporting and distributing independent black cinema at a time when the infrastructure for such work barely existed. He understood that talent without access was a dead end, and he committed his career to removing that particular obstacle. Reginald's thesis film at Harvard, House Party, attracted enough attention to secure professional financing. The feature version, released in 1990 and produced by Warrington, was made for $2.5 million and grossed over $26 million at the box office. It launched the careers of rapper actors Kid and Play, gave early prominent roles to Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell, and essentially established the blueprint for black youth culture films in the 1990s. The film's authenticity, its dialogue, its music, its social dynamics, felt revolutionary because it was made by people who had actually lived it. Boomerang in 1992, directed by Reginald and starring Eddie Murphy and Halle Berry, grossed $131 million worldwide and became one of the defining romantic comedies of the decade. Warrington moved into television as a pioneering executive at BET, helping shape its news division and producing award shows watched by tens of millions of viewers annually. Reginald became one of the first African-American presidents of entertainment at BET, then produced Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained in 2012, a film that grossed $425 million worldwide and won 2 Academy Awards. Together, their films and productions have grossed over $600 million. But the more important number is this. The doors they opened for a generation of black filmmakers who came after them are impossible to quantify. Albert Hughes and Allen Hughes. In 1993, twin brothers Albert and Allen Hughes sat in the director's chairs on the set of Menace to Society and made one of the most powerful and devastating American films of the decade. They were 20 years old. Albert Hughes and Allen Hughes were born on April 1, 1972, in Detroit, Michigan, and raised by their mother in Pomona, California. At 12 years old, their mother gave them a video camera. 8 years later, they had a feature film in theaters. That 8-year timeline is not a gap. It is 8 years of obsessive study, relentless practice, and the development of a visual language entirely their own. Menace to Society was made for $3.5 million and grossed $30 million worldwide. More significantly, it captured life in South Central Los Angeles with a rawness and moral complexity that critics and audiences had never quite seen before. Honest about violence without glamorizing it. Empathetic about its characters without excusing them. It was the kind of film that changed how people thought about what cinema could do. Dead Presidents in 1995 was a Vietnam-era heist drama that grossed $24 million and demonstrated that the Hughes brothers were not limited to a single geographic or thematic register. From Hell in 2001, starring Johnny Depp and Heather Graham, was a major studio period thriller that grossed $74 million worldwide. The Book of Eli in 2010, starring Denzel Washington and Gary Oldman, earned $157 million worldwide and proved that black directors could command major studio resources and deliver massive commercial results without compromising their artistic identity. In an era when black filmmakers routinely struggled to secure budgets above $10 million, the Hughes brothers repeatedly delivered across genres, decades, and scales. Their twin bond gave their collaboration something that cannot be manufactured: genuine shorthand. They finished each other's sentences on set because they genuinely did. The industry handed them barriers. They turned them into films. Shawn Wayans and Marlon Wayans. Every list needs a number one. And if you are ranking Black Hollywood brothers by cultural impact, commercial achievement, and the sheer audacity of what they built together, there is genuinely no other choice. Shawn Mathis Wayans was born on January 19, 1971, in New York City. Marlon Lamont Wayans was born on July 23, 1972, 17 months younger, but close enough in age and sensibility that their collaboration always felt less like a pairing and more like a single creative organism operating with two bodies. Their story begins in a family that was already legendary. Their brother Keenan Ivory Wayans created In Living Color in 1990, the Fox sketch comedy series that launched the careers of Jim Carrey, Jennifer Lopez, Jamie Foxx, and the entire Wayans clan simultaneously. Shawn and Marlon were both featured players on the show, developing their comedic instincts in front of a live audience and a national viewership that peaked at over 15 million viewers per episode. By 1995, they co-created and starred in The Wayans Brothers, a WB sitcom that ran for 5 seasons and reached millions of homes weekly with its sharp comedic chemistry and remarkably consistent writing quality. Then came Scary Movie in 2000. Written by Shawn, Marlon, and their brothers Keenan and Fulton, directed by Keenan, and starring Shawn and Marlon, the film was made for $19 million and grossed $278 million worldwide, making it the highest-grossing film ever directed by an African American at the time. It was a record-shattering achievement, accomplished through complete creative and financial control remaining within the family. White Chicks, in 2004, earned $113 million worldwide and has become one of the most referenced comedies of its generation, referenced in music videos, memes, Halloween costumes, and pop culture conversations 2 full decades after its release. Beyond performing, the brothers consistently held writing and producing credits, ensuring that creative power stayed inside the family rather than being surrendered to studio executives. Their combined filmography has generated well over $1 billion globally. From Harlem to Hollywood, from sketch comedy to box office history, Shawn and Marlon Wayans didn't just make it in the industry, they restructured it. And that is why they are number one. 20 brotherhoods, 20 stories. But here's the question nobody wants to answer honestly. Did Hollywood deliberately keep these dynasties invisible, or did we simply stop looking? Was Charlie Murphy more naturally gifted than Eddie? Did Stephen Glover write Atlanta better than Donald could have performed it alone? And does Ryan Coogler's box office mean more than the Hughes brothers' raw artistic courage? Drop your most controversial take in the comments right now. Disagree with the list? Tell Black Celebrity Secrets exactly who we missed and who didn't deserve their spot. The real debate starts below, and we read every single comment.